Watch the foul. 69. Offense. He was giving them the business. Go back there. All right.
This is the Five with Farms and a Lucky Finn podcast.
The road to Omaha is very close. Welcome to the Midweek Review. I am Kenny Hilliard. This is the Lucky Finn Inning Podcast, along with my co-host, Jason Lucky Finn. Jason, pretty big week and an even bigger weekend coming up for us. But we're super excited. Before we start, everybody, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this video. Leave a comment. Even hit the notification bell. Look, we really want y'all coming back to listen in. We have a special episode coming out next week when we're kind of reviewing our Field of 64 and who we think should be hosting and maybe who the last of four are. So, Jason, I know you're excited for that. You've been building like crazy, dude. And how you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I'm excited to do that. Yeah, I was texting you the other day as I was making our designs for it. I was like, man, this is just, I'm just so excited. It brings me back to my childhood.
Yeah. And I think what really helps out, and shout out to the Diamond app. You and I have been talking about this whole week. This app is just absolutely, it's like, so what's good about it is you and I, we love data. Okay. You're a data guy. I'm not as much of a data guy as you, but I do love visuals. And this app is just perfect for the visuals. It's so easy. And I think that's what makes all of this even better. So I know you've been, I think I told you about it and then you kind of went with it and I've been playing around with it and it is awesome. But
yep, definitely. Yeah. As soon as you mentioned it, I was like, I'm going to pay money for this. Like I have no problem with that. It's so great. It's so good to help, develop the content for what we're going to do on these podcasts and also just get a glimmer into other things that are happening around the country.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of around the country, this weekend, before we jump into midweek, look, a lot of conference 1s and 2s. Some teams are, and what's good about this, and you and I talked about this weekend, is teams that are built on arms and teams who are built on their bat. That is a lot of bat this weekend. But anyway, well, let's jump into it. We'll jump in and look at all the games from this week. Oregon is going to edge out Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a big one of those groups out in the Big West, correct? Nope, I see it right there. West Coast. Excuse me. Yeah. Kansas over my favorite team, Wichita State. UC Irvine is going to take over Southern Cal. Texas walks off on a back and forth game against Sam Houston. You were talking about Sam Houston they were ripping the ball. Look, 14 hits, and Carson Tenney, dude. Yeah, he bomb.
He just took that breaking ball and just sent it to the stratosphere. It was, I mean, the left fielder didn't even move. There was no reason to. Except
both teams were just monster shots. Campbell's going to good battle up top with the Big South. UC Irvine and Oral Roberts take down Power 4 teams. Oral Roberts is a great school. They're definitely one of those teams that will 100% be in a regional. Pitt and Kent State and Miami of Ohio and Wright State. They play tonight. No updates on that yet. But Jason, out of all of these, what's your biggest takeaway?
Well, Coastal getting the bats hot in the 6th inning was huge for me. We've been talking about them for a while about, hey, they don't play as tough of competition. So these midweek games that they play are a lot more important. And they really showed up this week. I was really excited to see the bats come alive. They struggled a little bit early, a little slow start, 2-1, and then 4th and 5th inning were a little slow on both sides, and then Coastal took over in the 6th inning and just didn't give up, and North Carolina really couldn't do anything after that. You were talking about the pitcher. I don't remember his name, but freshman pitcher who was pitching really well for Coastal in the middle innings.
Incredible.
So kind of gave them the edge down the stretch. So, and then also Kent State and Pitt are actually playing right now. So Kent State's winning 6-1. Pitt's had a couple errors. They had five runs on like one hit because of Pitt errors. And then Miami of Ohio actually beat Wright State today 14-7. That's a big win for Miami of Ohio in terms of, I mean, these are two teams that are at the top levels of their conference. Miami, I know, is trailing Kent State a little bit, but both of them are really strong teams in separate conferences. And just like High Point and Campbell, it's really cool to see the top tiers of the mid majors also facing off each other during the midweeks. So cool to see.
Yeah, I don't want to go any further before we don't really hit that Coastal Carolina, North Carolina. I'm glad you brought it up. I don't know why I totally went past that. UNC starting pitcher did really good. He shut Coastal Carolina down, but the kind of that mid staff for North Carolina just was faltering, man. They had, I think, two guys. He threw 3 pitches and that was it. Multiple pass balls, but Coastal was ripping the ball. I mean, I think there were multiple hits that went off the center field wall. Coastal, I think that was a game that they really needed to kind of, especially for people like me who really don't want to. You kind of question their strength of schedule and everything like that, but honestly, they did a good job. But
yeah, what do you think, Kenny, about Mississippi State and Ole Miss playing on that neutral site? We were talking about the field a little bit yesterday. Mississippi State prevails, but we got a scare, almost an injury by Mr. Furness going into second base. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't, for especially a game like that, especially two powerhouse teams like that. I mean, both of them won College World Series right after one another. They had issues at they're playing at the Mississippi Mudfish. Last year they played, and I think they canceled the game because the field was so awful. And then to make worse, you go play on turf. And yeah, he slid in the second. His arm just kind of buckled up. I don't know the update on him, but anyway, all that doesn't matter. Mississippi State put a handle on them. I mean, they were tattooing the ball too. So Ole Miss kind of fought back a little bit in the end, but Mississippi State's on the rise, and we'll get into them later. Anyway, Jason, are you ready to jump into our predictions for this week?
Let's do it.
All right, let me pull it up. All right. Here we go. All right. Top matchups that we're going to pick this week. Pittsburgh is at Florida State. Arizona State at Central Florida. Kind of, I call the battle of the mid, but not really mid. Florida is at Oklahoma. Mississippi State at Texas. Auburn at A&M. I know we got 3 SEC teams. I know I've seen a lot of back and forth about, especially D1, Baseball America, all these other, ranking systems that putting all these SEC teams in. Jason, give me your opinion on this. How do you truly feel about these SEC teams? I think a couple of these, especially the Florida and Oklahoma game, I think that's probably the most important SEC series this week because of the implications of how many SEC teams deserve. And these are the 2 teams that I don't think I feel like Florida is, I've seen conversations of them hosting. I don't know. What you think?
I feel like when they choose regionals, a lot of times SEC teams are more favored than others because they're in the South where it's going to be warm and their stadiums are typically hold more fans. And, at some point there's a part of it where you want to fit as many people in to the stadium as possible. And I feel like that kind of is weighed a little bit, but also we have to look at the facts. The SEC has won 6, 7 national championships in a row by five different teams. So it's like across the board, these teams just perform really well in the postseason. And so it's hard not to look at them and say, well, they have some of the best talent. They have some of the best prospects. And how do we not rank more of them above? I know we try and stay as unbiased as possible when we're doing our rankings. So our rankings look a little different than some of the other ones. So what do you think about that, Kenny, with the SEC teams? Do you think that they're a little overhyped, or do you think it's worthy?
I think it's a tad over. It's really a tad overhyped, and it's because of the iffiness about some of these SEC teams. When I believe there's again like Conference USA, Sun Belt has so many powerful teams that are going to some of these SEC schools and putting up decent fight. They could possibly lose a spot because like Vanderbilt is being in a conversation about being in one of these regionals. How? I've even seen Kentucky. Absolutely not. So, look, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's one of those schools. Let's just move into there. Pittsburgh at Florida State. We both have Florida State. Whoa, you were hot on Pittsburgh. Why Florida State? Why Florida State?
Yeah, Florida State, rough weekend last weekend at Stanford, but Florida State's 20-3 at home this season. Pitt has struggled a little bit on the road, and Pitt's pitching staff really showed up last week against Virginia. I think on the road, it's going to be a little tougher being at Florida State, as well as Florida State. They have a really good pitching staff as well. So whenever I was looking up the stats on the teams and looking down the ACC numbers, you really look at Virginia and Florida State. You can almost feel like they're similar in team structure. They're both led by their pitching. Florida State doesn't have as much power as Virginia, so they're not going to be hit. They don't have as many home runs on the year. But Pitt is led by their offense and by their pitching, and their pitching staff is not what is strong for them. And so I think this week is really going to tell us, was that pitching an anomaly for them last week against Virginia, or are they actually going to be able to show up on the road? And that's really what I think is going to make the difference. But I do have Florida State this week, 2-1 in the series. I think them being led by Wes Mendez, with 86 strikeouts on the year, and he's one of the best pitchers in the conference. And in general, Florida State is top of the conference in most pitching statistics. They're third in ERA, second in WHIP, and second in strikeouts on the season. So I think Pitt's offense is really going to have to stay disciplined. And they've done really well with that so far this year, right? They're leading the conference in walk percentage. So, but are they going to be able to show up on the road? I don't know. I have a tough time believing Florida State is going to have another downfall again after what happened last week. So I'm going Florida State 2-1.
I will 100% take Florida State 2-1. I think that series against Stanford was, I hate using this, but the long distance traveling, you're probably just really out of whack. I don't want to call that week a fluke. I mean, it could be. But again, Florida State at home, Pitt is on a 4-game win streak. Stanford's on a 7-game win streak. So maybe this could show that Stanford's just growing that decent enough to be capable of beating all these high quality ACC schools. So you got it down? You wrote it down?
Yep. I got them wrote down. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Next, Arizona State, 31-14. They are 14-7 in conference. Central Florida is 14-7 in conference as well. Arizona State's third in the Big 12. Central Florida is second. Both got good pitching staff. Cole Carlin Jr., the left-handed pitcher for Arizona State, he's got a ton of Ks. And this probably could be could stop Central Florida. Both got good pitching staffs. Yep. How we feeling? You kind of did a lot of studying on this one.
Yeah, both of these teams are kind of decent in RPI. You look at Arizona State 46, UCF at 25, but both of these are playing well recently. UCF is on a 4-game win streak with a win over our friends Bethany and Cookman, who we've been high on this year in the SWAC, and a sweep over Utah. Arizona State has won 5 of their last 6, including a sweep against Baylor at home last weekend. So here's the difference, Kenny. And we were talking about this, and this is what I was diving into when I was looking up their stats. So Arizona State is led by their offense. Arizona State is strong. Now, their pitching staff isn't bad, but they're led by their offense and sophomore Landon Harrison with 23 home runs on the year. So when I think about how UCF is going to have to pitch in this performance, they don't strike out that many guys. They're lower in the
Central Florida doesn't.
Yeah, UCF is not as high on strikeouts as Arizona is. So I think this is an opportunity for Arizona State to get bats on the balls. That to me just tells me UCF's pitching is maybe not as deceptive to hitters, so they're not getting as many strikeouts. And so I think this is an opportunity where, hey, if I'm Arizona State, I'm going in there ready to smoke the ball. And as well as help your pitching staff out. We've talked about it, right? You get out early on teams, gives your pitchers confidence. A lot of times your pitchers can perform off of your offense. And they know that they have bats behind them, so they're not stressing as much whenever they're out there. They're just having fun. And I think this is going to be an opportunity for Arizona State to do that. So that's why I'm going Arizona State on the road 2-1 in the series.
Yeah, they got a little bit of a hitting advantage too. Their team average is 328. Central Florida's is just 285. So I'll definitely take Arizona State. Ooh. Man, do you have them sweeping?
No, I have 2-1. On the road, it's tough.
Oh, on the road. You know what? I said this last week because I said I got to watch out for the road game. I'll use my sweep button for this. Give me Arizona State on the sweep.
He's got them. So Guinea, with UCF's conference lead in ERA at 3.83 and whip in 1.21, how bad do you think Arizona State's offense is going to damage those numbers?
Maybe one game. I'll take one game where they really hurt them. Maybe man, what's the pitch on? You have the idea on pitching wise on who's pitching Friday? Just say you say great pitching.
I'm not sure which one is pitching Friday. Not off my notes now.
Okay.
But UCF does have Camden Wicker, 6'7" junior right-hander. He'll be
7 shutout innings last game. Okay, well let's do this. I think that game, whenever he's pitching, I think will be maybe 2 low scoring games. It can be 2 low scoring games.
That's the game I think UCF's going to win.
Oh, you think they're going to tear it up on that one?
Oh, I didn't say tear it up.
No. Sorry, I thought you said win. Okay. I thought you said Florida State. Yeah. I think maybe whenever he's not pitching, I think that would be maybe the final game. I think Arizona State lights him up.
I think that's what they did against BYU, right? No, it was the second game. They lost first game against BYU, and then Arizona State just, I think, 11-1, 13-1, somewhere around there. So you're thinking double-digit runs for Arizona State, one game?
Yep. You know what? Right. Write it down. I'm going to guess the score. We don't really guess scores.
Let's do it.
15-3. Oh, that's too much.
You think one? No. Hey, whoa. Go with your
change it.
15-3.
15-3.
All right, so I think a high scoring game. I'm going to go 9-4.
Okay, that's a way better guess than I did.
We're giving a top scoring performance by Arizona State and an Arizona State win, and watch UCF get a sweep, and neither of us will ever have an opportunity to talk about this again.
Absolutely not. No more score guessing.
Well, Kenny, we talked about it beforehand. We were trying to decide our matchups this week. No Big Ten matchup that really stands out for us this week as far as the top teams matching up. So we went ahead, and SEC has a lot of matchups this week. So we got 3 SEC matchups to discuss this week. Why don't you kick us off? Who you got between Florida and Oklahoma?
I will take Oklahoma. This is probably the biggest eye test game I have for all of these games that we have lined up. This is the biggest eye test that I think both teams can have that are actually, you're proving to me that this is it's time to set up. This is 6 versus 9 in the SEC. Oklahoma has a strength in batting and defense. But Florida's Aiden King, dude. We talk about him all the time. That is a big guy that everybody talks about. I don't see Oklahoma winning their first game. That Friday night, I think Aiden King will just shove them down. And I think the second game might be a back and forth. Cam Johnson, he did really good last week against Auburn. I think Auburn.
Yes.
But Florida second guy, Liam Peterson, he's up and down. I mean, he was their Friday night starter. We talked about it.
You got 2-1 or 3-0?
Oh, it's 2-1. 2-1 Oklahoma. I say Florida kind of just falls apart at that last game. Both teams, they don't give up a lot of hits. Pitching wise, Oklahoma's got a lot of hit by pitches and walks, but I mean, it really wasn't much of a difference. But I mean, what are your thoughts? You got Florida, so
I do have Florida this week. We talked about it 2 weeks ago about their upcoming series with A&M and Oklahoma, and we talked about, hey, Florida needs to win one of those series if they really want to even have a chance to host down the line, because they have, I believe you said they had Kentucky and LSU in their last 2 weeks. So this is a series that after losing at A&M last week, Florida needs this bounce back. Now, Oklahoma does too, because Oklahoma ended up losing game 3 against Auburn, getting run ruled and lost that series. But I think this is a Florida team where, you said it, Aiden King is going to lead them for game 1. But I also believe their offense is going to come alive like they did against Georgia this weekend. I think that this is an opportunity for Florida to hit some home runs, get some runs on the board, help their pitching staff out on those other days, give them some confidence. And I got Florida 2-1.
2-1. All right. That's a good deal. I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm telling you, Jason, this is a game for Florida that they lose. I think if they lose and they lose a couple games that aren't good enough, I don't know. I'm not even going to say it because I feel like they're going to make up every. They're going to make. Yeah, they got their strength of schedule is like a 3 or a 2. They got a hard schedule.
Number 1, I believe. I believe they have
okay.
Number 1
well, I'll take that.
Schedule.
Yeah. Anyway, next game, Mississippi State, Texas. We won't really hit much on this because of I think both teams kind of submitted their place into a regional and hosting a regional. Mississippi State's been ripping the tar out of the ball lately. I mean, they were hitting really well against LSU. Blake Beavis has come in. He just got his start in like April, like the mid of April.
Weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's had a hit almost ever since. But
I feel like he hit a home run almost every game.
Oh, dude, he's been, and he's
been lighting it up.
These are the guys you need to come in. So we both got Texas.
Yeah.
This is me not trusting Mississippi State. I mean, I was surprised of how well they did against Ole Miss, but look, 7 and 8 in ERA in the whole of Division I, and both got a lot of strikeout percentages. So why do you got Texas?
Yeah, I think this Texas starting pitching staff is probably one of the best in the country. They struggled on the road at A&M, but being at home, they pitched really well. Ruger Rios, he had Riojas. My bad.
Riojas.
Sorry, I'm just you got
Third time's a charm, buddy.
Remember, he had 11 strikeouts last weekend. That team in that game had, I think, 18 strikeouts. So I look forward to seeing that Texas pitching staff play well. And like you said, Mississippi State did not play that great against LSU. I mean, LSU is not a great team this year, and LSU had early leads on them in every game, and Mississippi State ends up coming back to win every game in the series. So Texas, you can't do that. Their pitching staff is a lot stronger than LSU's, and their offense is probably better than LSU's. So what are you going to do for Mississippi State? It's hard to say sweep because Mississippi State has been playing well lately, and I think Mississippi State's a good team. So I'm going to go 2-1 Texas. Kenny, what do you have in this? 2-1 or 3-0 Texas?
Give me 2-1. 2-1 Texas. Mississippi State's kind of proven a little bit more to me that they've, that was just one of those weekends, like that weekend against LSU that they just weren't there. But give me 2-1.
Gotcha. And Kenny, our last SEC matchup that matters, Texas A&M and Auburn. We're both sitting on Texas A&M. I have Texas A&M 2-1 in this series. This is the top matchup probably of the week up to this point in the season outside of the Georgia Tech and North Carolina series as far as top ranked teams. These teams are 4-5 in RPI, Auburn being 4, A&M being 5, or sorry, other way around. A&M's 4, Auburn is 5. A&M's won 9 of their last 10 games. And Caden Sorrell for A&M, as well as Gavin Grahovac, they've both been hitting a lot of bombs this year. Sorrell has 20, Grahovac has 14. So this team in A&M is led by not only their offense, though, their pitching staff has also pitched really well, led by Aiden Sims, who has a 1.0 whip, which is, a great whip for a starter. You want to keep those walks and hits down, keep the arm going, and be able to have a lower pitching count. But Kenny, I have 2-1 A&M. I like Auburn's hitting. They hit really well last week against Oklahoma. I like their pitching staff too. I think that's what's going to have to drive them in this week. But what do you think?
Yeah, that pitching staff is the best in the country. One of the best in the country besides Texas. But I have A&M taking the sweep. And
wow.
I think A&M is really hot, especially at the 10th man. Auburn's been their practices. They've been pumping in the ball 6, the ball 7. They've been pumping in music. I think the bubbles will probably be a distraction to Texas. So I think the blowing the bubbles will be a distraction to Auburn. But I'll say this is a series that Auburn cannot go down bad. Look, if they're going to go down, it cannot look ugly because they got Mississippi State. They got Jacksonville State at Jacksonville State. Let me take that. At Jacksonville State. And then at Georgia to end the season. They got a tough schedule. But I'll take Texas A&M. I think one of those games will probably be a little back and forth, but I'll take Texas A&M on the sweep. God, I hate saying that.
I know, but also you also hated saying sweep against Texas, and you had it right. So I mean, it was only 2 games, but still had the sweep.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I've just come to kind of just take it with how it is. LSU fans, as an LSU fan, as our fan base, we do not respect A&M. I don't think a lot of people do, but I happen to be one of them, and I think that's because my cousin went there, so it's kind of a soft spot. But I've been respecting A&M. You got to respect them just a little bit. It sucks to say, but
hey, that team is good. They're fun to watch.
But Jason, we're going to wrap this up. Let's get into our meaningful mid-majors.
Hot mid-majors.
The hot mid-majors. We got Army, Navy, Southeastern at Lamar. A huge one I can't wait to jump into. Jacksonville State at Missouri State. Southeast Missouri State, Eastern Illinois, the directional schools, and then the Catamounts versus, I guess they're Bulldogs.
Terriers.
Terriers. I knew they weren't that. Oh man, Jason, this is kind of a good one for you and I to talk about. I'm a Navy guy. You're an Army guy. Both are at 15 conference wins. Navy, actually, Army at the beginning of the season, they've already played each other. Army took that series. Navy is 7 in the national ERA, and they're in between Texas and North Carolina. That kind of gives you a gist about what Navy's kind of game is. Army is 13th in field percentage. And I was talking about Brady Bendick. He's our Friday guy. He's got 83 Ks. He's 22nd in Division I. Who you got? I mean, well, we already saw what you got. Why do you have Army besides the love for Army?
So Army with the 2-1 win, we covered it a little bit earlier this year. I'm thinking it's another 2-1 for them. We also talked about Brady Bendick earlier in the year. We talked about how great he did he was one of our 5 arms of the week one week. Pitching staff he pitched really well. Like you said, he's got a high number of strikeouts, so I think he's going to be the guy who gets a win for Navy. I mean, I think Army's going to be able to get the other 2 games. Josiah Overbeek has a 305 batting average, but he's also also coming in pitching. You talked a little bit about that
Yeah,
to
that
me
was crazy.
Beforehand. Tell us a little bit about that guy.
Yeah, I was literally just looking over stats and like who got who and kind of, and I saw that he had won a game. He won a game pitching. And I was like, wait, in the stats, he's got this batting average. Like, what is he? He's a freshman. I'm pretty sure he's a freshman.
Oh wow.
So he's got 5 saves on the season. So he's kind of just a guy. I'm wondering if it's like high school baseball when we didn't have a bunch of guys on our team, but the outfielder comes in and pitches for the game. So, I got Navy 2-1. Because go Navy beat Army.
Navy. Yeah, exactly. And also I don't have them in here, but this is the last series of the season for both these teams in the Patriot. So whoever wins this is going to end up winning the conference. So
they don't do conference title
for the regular season.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I believe they have
sure
a tournament. Pretty sure they all have tournaments. So,
Jason, bring us into this Southeastern game versus Lamar.
Okay, I did have some fun researching this one because we talked about this at the beginning of the show. A lot of matchups here where there's strong pitching versus strong offense, and this is like top tier. Jacksonville State's and Missouri State's another one that's going to be like this, but Lamar's pitching is probably one of the best in the Southland, and Southeastern has the best offense in the Southland. Southeastern has 6 of the top 20 home run hitters in the Southland, including senior third baseman Alex Perry with 11 and catcher Blaze Priester Sr. with 8, who we have formerly interviewed. So go Blaze, who also had a grand slam against Oklahoma earlier this year. Also important to note. But when we think about these two teams, this is 1 versus 2 in the Southland. One of these two teams is most likely going to be the auto bid from the Southland, unless they both falter in the tournament. But Southeastern 88 in RPI, Lamar 106. And when I think about this matchup, I think Southeastern's great at getting the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
Lamar great on the pitching staff. But Lamar also has a senior right-hander from Mandeville, which is not far from where Southeastern is. So, little matchup
probably
for
a little
him.
Rivalry. Yeah.
A little get ahead
He's
of
probably got
his
some
old
buddies on the team.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go 2-1 Southeastern. Kenny, what do you think?
2-1 Southeastern. Southeastern's been playing pretty good. I'll take Southeastern 2-1. I think Lamar is the favorite and has been the favorite to kind of just win that and get that bid for them. But
yeah,
give me that. Jason, you and I will go Jacksonville State, and you will go Missouri State. This is a huge one. This is the one I think you and I have been talking about since we found out about this. Let's quickly jump into it. Oh, excuse me. Please take over while I drink water. My goodness.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I think about this being just like the previous matchup where we have a strong offense in Missouri State versus a better pitching staff in Jacksonville State. This is number 1 versus number 3, as you mentioned. And Missouri State needs to bounce back. They lost 5 in a row. They lost a sweep to Louisiana Tech and a heartbreak in losing that last game, giving up, I think, 5 or 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. And they need this one. This is at home for them. They hit a lot of home runs. The advantage 79-36, led by junior Curry Sutherland and senior Carter Bergman with 14 and 13 home runs. This is an opportunity for their offense to really come alive against Jacksonville State. But Jacksonville State's tops in the conference in strikeouts. Missouri State strikes out only is 9th in conference and K percentage at 20.4%. So this is a tough team to get out in strikeouts. Yeah. Jacksonville State's going to have to find another way to get these Missouri State guys out. So that's kind of where I give the edge to Missouri State. Plus, after a 5-game losing streak, baseball is just one of those sports, Kenny, where it's hard to look at a team and say they're going to get swept again or lose another series after getting swept. It kind of reminds me of the Florida State. It's hard to think Florida State go home and lose. So that's why I'm Missouri State 2-1. But you got Jacksonville State, and why?
it's a. I'll go off the point that you just made. It's a weekend by weekend game, like we said later on. I mean, Florida State versus Stanford. I think it's just probably those weekends. But let me know if this is too dramatic. I was kind of looking and breaking it down. Missouri State hasn't been hitting the ball well lately. You know, their last couple games, they've been batting under 230.
Not good.
Their last 7 to 9 games between like late March and in April, they just haven't been hitting it. Now, maybe this is nitpicking, but most of those games have been away. Okay. Batting 308 in April. Their last 7 is 280. So it's starting to go down. But I don't know. I mean, they're still 11th at slugging. I'm sure you brought that up, but I think Jacksonville State is on the rise. They've had a couple games where they've struggled a little bit, but because Missouri State's kind of been on the downward spiral with hitting, I'll take Jacksonville State 2-1.
Okay. I think this is going to be when we talked about when these two teams were going to match up earlier this year, and we were like, oh my God, that's going to be a fun week. So It's here, and this is going to be a good one. So looking forward to it.
All right, Jason, we'll wrap this up. We'll hit these quickly on our last two. SOMO is SEMO.
Yeah, SEMO. Come on, Southeast Missouri State. Yeah,
SEMO in the directional east. It's SEMO. I like SEMO. We both got SEMO. Any thoughts on that? You've got all the notes on that one. I'll start it. I'll take SEMO through 2-1. 2-1. Give me 2-1.
Okay. I was about to say, look, I've been going 2-1 on every series so far. Yeah. I'm breaking it. Southeast
there Missouri we go. This is what I want to see
this week. On the road. A sweep on the road. It's not just a sweep. It's a sweep on the road. Southeast Missouri State is playing really well. And this team, when I think about their pitching staff, they're led on Fridays by senior right-hander Nathan. I'm guessing it's Mertens. I'm guessing it's not Mertens. Mertens is what I'm guessing. But he's coming off of a complete game win against SIU Edwardsville last week, who was tops of the conference with Southeast Missouri State, and now they're a little behind. But they're also led by Mason Pennington, senior right-hander, also pitching really well. And he's most likely going to go up against Bryce Riggs for EIU. And I think for Eastern Illinois, that's the only game they really have an opportunity to win, in my opinion, because he's their best pitcher on the staff. And Southeast Missouri State has been hitting the ball really well, led by Joe Hall with a 361 average and 11 home runs, and Cal Sullivan with 14 home runs. But Eastern Illinois doesn't hit that many home runs, Kenny. But they're more of a disciplined approach team. They focus on getting on base. Their hitting is led by Mike O'Connor. He's a senior third baseman who had 3 home runs last weekend against UT Martin. So I think the edge goes to Southeast Missouri State. I think the pitching will outduel EIU, as well as their offense is going to be tough to shut down against EIU's pitching staff. So I think the pitching staff of EIU is going to struggle a little bit. And I think this is going to be an opportunity for Southeast Missouri State to really, really get ahead of them in the conference and go ahead and take the lead in the conference. And just to tidbit, this is the Ohio Valley, just for those who don't know.
Ohio Valley. And our final one, Western Carolina at Wofford. Wofford was the favorite to take over in the SoCon, but looks like Mercer's kind of making that move. I'm a big Mercer guy. I'm going to take Western Carolina. I think Western Carolina's kind of been mainly on the tear. I'll take Western Carolina 2-1. And my favorite Western Carolina person is, we're going to take this out because I forgot her name. She was the LSU UREC. She's over there now. The intramural director for
Casey.
Was her name Casey? It wasn't Casey, was it?
Was it Casey? I thought it was Casey.
We'll take that out.
I don't remember.
Well, blah 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 blah. Western Carolina's got a better RPI. I mean, their RPI is so high; it's 53 versus 98. I mean, do we really put that much in a factor if it's that high? Yeah, I'll take Western Carolina here 2-1.
Okay. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go Wofford at home, 2-1.
Little Terrier action.
Wofford's on a 4-game losing streak after getting swept at Mercer last week. You had mentioned them a little bit. Mercer's leading the conference in home runs. They also lost against Gardner-Webb on Tuesday. They had won 16 of 18 prior, Kenny. And I believe they're going to get back on track this weekend. I think Wofford needs a good series win to bounce back. Their RPI is sitting at 93. You mentioned Western Carolina's at 53. So Western Carolina is looking pretty good in the RPIs. But Wofford's 9-6 in quad 3 games. Western Carolina's 5-6 in quad 2. So that's what that matchup's going to look like this weekend. But Wofford's got a strong pitching staff. They're tops in SoCon and ERA, WHIP, and FIP, and second in walk percentage by WCU. So Western Carolina pitches more to contact, avoiding less strikeouts on the team. But they're one of the worst in hits allowed, but one of the best in BB per 9. So that lowers their WHIP, as a pitching staff. So, that's what's going to carry them is their opportunities to, hey, we're going to limit the guys on base as much as possible, but they got to lower the amount of hits they're giving up. So they do well against the walks, not as great against the hits. WCU's has hit 70 home runs on the year, and Wofford's only hit 43. So, but Wofford also is the lowest in home runs allowed. So this is going to be a big matchup for Western Carolina. They're kind of led by their home runs, and so this is an opportunity for Wofford's pitching staff to kind of shut them down on the home runs. Don't give up as many long balls, and that's going to be an opportunity for Wofford to take over in this series. Wofford's led by Logan Tribble, senior, who's leading the conference in on-base percentage, second in average. He's hitting a 406, 523, 516 slash. So he's not a big power guy, but he gets on base. He's leading the team in steals.
I think that's what matters the most, getting on base.
Yeah, and they got 4 other hitters that are hitting over 330 for Wofford. So I think that's going to be the edge for them against Western Carolina's pitching. And we'll see, Kenny. But Wofford's got 2 starters on Friday and Saturday. Cullen Condon, who's sophomore right-hander, and Alec Bouchard, right-hander, junior right-hander, both under 1.8 ERA. So I think these are going to be the opportunities where they're going to get ahead. Wofford's going to get those 2 wins, and then they go mostly like Holstaff in the series finale is what I've seen in the recent weeks. And so I think that might be the game that Western Carolina takes. So I'm going to go 2-1 Wofford.
This is what this is SoCon, right? SoCon.
Yep, SoCon.
I'm trying to figure out who they have. Looking at D1, who they got. Okay, so D1 actually has. Wow. Okay, we'll hit on this really quick. D1's got Western Carolina in the Coastal Carolina, Tennessee regional as a 3 seed. Do you know who they have as their 4th seed? It's one of the people that we love talking about.
Bethune Cookman.
Campbell.
Oh.
So.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kind of a bit surprised at that. I think Campbell might be better than a 4 seed, to be honest.
So I'm thinking about something on the other side, right? Let's say Western Carolina doesn't win the SoCon.
Yeah.
Wofford just was last there in 2024. WCU hasn't been there since 2016. Let's say they don't win the conference. Do they still get in? Because sometimes the 3 seed goes to a good at large. Maybe Western Carolina with their RPI, they're sitting there at 50 something. Like that might be worth a 3 seed. But let's say they don't win the conference tournament. Do they get left off? That's the tough part.
I think they will because they're a lower conference school.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like it is what it is. It's one of those just brutal outcomes that's the lovely game of baseball.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wraps things up. Look, we'll bring in our trivia question from last week. Jason, any ideas of what that question was? And before we go, this team has made 24 trips to the College World Series and has had 0 national titles. Jason's any ideas?
So we had talked about it. So I don't want to act like I got it on first note, but I did ask you if it was a West Coast team, and you said no.
Nope.
And so I did some thinking, and I came up with Florida State.
And Florida State was the answer. Florida, that's pretty crazy to me. And for the historical program they had, to not have a single one is kind of mind-boggling.
And the reason I thought about Florida State was Mike Martin was there for 40 years. And I mean, they were great every season. 40 years, never lost less than 40 games, advanced to the postseason every season. And he went to the College World Series 17 times, Kenny. So it's like, I knew that they hadn't won one under him, and I knew he had gotten there a lot. So that when I didn't think West Coast, because I was like, all right, it's got to be somewhere else. That was what led me to Florida State. And, Mike Martin, great, one of the best college baseball managers of all time. So good to see Florida State doing really well this year, under new regime.
Yeah. So, well, Jason, pretty big week, pretty busy week. But we're really excited. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe again. We will be dropping a Field of 64 episode. Make sure y'all tune in. I think we're working pretty hard on it, making sure it looks all good and ready to go. But thank y'all for watching. Peace out. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Even though we suck, I'll take it.